reading the 14-page indictment yesterday were that there are a lot of people in Hollywood who are probably worried about which Diddy parties they were at and what was going on. That's not to say that they were necessarily even involved in any of the things that are alleged by the U.S. Attorney's Office. But if you're at that party and it turns out that that's when he set up one of these freak-off sex parties, or that it was going on in another room and you didn't know about it, there's a good chance that you're going to be called by the U.S. Attorney's Office.
As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice.
Diddy's in deep trouble with the feds, and now there are rumors that Jay-Z might get pulled into the mess too. Seems like anyone connected to Diddy could end up caught in the fallout, with more people coming forward with allegations and speculation.
What I heard is that over the next 18 months, and honestly, when did Diddy start getting exposed? It was in December, or was it January? When did the Diddy stuff pop off? Because I knew about 2 years ago I knew about a year before the Diddy stuff went down that was going down first. Then it's going to be Jay-Z. Excuse me, November? Okay. After the powers that be, the PTB, the industry, whatever you want to call them, once they're done with Diddy, right? And this is going to be going on for some time, but once, I guess you can say, the public humiliation, basically after the major documentaries come out, right? After they are done with Diddy, Jay-Z is up next to be exposed, right?
Connection to Jay-Z is fueling a lot of speculation. While it's still unclear if he's done anything wrong, Jaguar Wright has been accusing him of serious crimes for years, alleging that he's been involved in shady dealings behind the scenes. Her claims paint a troubling picture of his influence, but so far there's no solid evidence to back them up.
I said he was going to jail because God told me he was going to jail.
Have you ever been in one of these Diddy parties?
Yes, I have. I sat down with Storm Monroe 4 years ago and said he was going to jail because God told me he was going to jail.
Have you ever been in one of these Diddy parties?
Yes, I have. I sat down with Storm Monroe 4 years ago and said that man was an extra, and he was using the business to traffic young women and men. I said all, but when I pray for something, it always comes true. And I prayed the same prayer for Sean Carter. Y'all better get ready. I knew between the two Seans, go for the weaker one. Go for the knees. And I told Sean Carter, you are so closely tied to Diddy.
She also highlighted that Diddy has been involved in questionable behavior for years, suggesting that his actions have raised red flags long before the recent allegations surfaced.
Being that he's in there with the feds and all that, you think Diddy gonna with the feds and all that, you think Diddy gonna start giving up some names?
What are you talking about? He's been giving up names for years.
Okay.
Make no mistake about it, him, Sean Carter and Sean Combs are government informants. There is absolutely no way guys like this, who were the bottoms in their neighborhood, end up on top without government sanctioned help. These aren't the kind of guys that started off super scary. They hung with the super scary guys, but these weren't the kind of guys that started off. See, everybody sees them for who they are now, but you're not imagining who the they were. Who they were before. Before they made their little special deals. Before they started doing all of the things they do. And listen, go back and listen to Gene Deal. There was an evolution from Puffy to the Diddler.
Diddy's ability to gather so much dirt on people may stem from the fact that he allegedly recorded everything that went down at his parties, often without consent.
Jay's speaking on it right now. He'll be one of the first dudes that they'll probably pull to the side and say, yo, well, you say that your man, I heard you on TMZ say that he never did this and he never did that. But ain't this you? If those pictures or those films or anything like that exist. You know what I'm saying? That's what they pay those agents to do. So, of course, I don't believe that none of the people who are his celebrity friends is gonna speak or say nothing until they're either contacted or they know what they really got.
So you feel like they might be worried that they might be on tape at one of Diddy parties doing something they wasn't supposed to be doing?
I think that the celebrities that may be worried is because what Lil Rob said. Lil Rob said in his affidavit that Diddy had every room taped and bugged. Diddy had, yo, bro, can you imagine? He had every room taped and bugged, and they found little bugs and little tape recorders. I mean, little those micro projectors or whatever like that, or video cameras. They found them in the house, bro. So by them having those things in the house, and people know there's alcohol, there's loose women, there's loose men, woman on woman, man on man, all kind of crazy bruh. They just wondering who or when they're gonna let this stuff be known. If it's on videotape.
Yeah, man, I know they gotta be shook, man, after finding out he was recording everything.
But not only celebrities, I don't think it's only celebrities gonna be shook. He had politicians in there. He had princes in there. He also had a couple of preachers in there. Hallelujah. That's crazy.
You personally, you think they got tapes?
Well, my personal opinion that if Lil Rob could be trusted and his statements are true, they got him. They got tapes and stuff.
This tactic is said to have given him significant leverage over those involved, helping him maintain control and safeguard his own interests for years. Interview 5. Diddy has been a major force in Hollywood for decades, always surrounded by top-tier celebrities like Jay-Z, Beyoncé, Rick Ross, Usher, and even Justin Bieber. His extravagant 50th birthday party in 2019 at a Beverly Hills mansion was filled with A-list guests, including Kim Kardashian, Kanye West, Pharrell, and Snoop Dogg, making it a star-studded event. But now, with serious legal troubles hanging over him, his famous friends could find themselves in a difficult position. Former prosecutor Nima Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers, spoke to the U.S. Sun about the potential fallout for Diddy's celebrity circle if the case goes to trial. While Rahmani pointed out that figures like Jay-Z could technically be subpoenaed, it's highly unlikely they would actually be called to testify.
Puffy, why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup. I'm just waiting to see who's next.
Jay-Z is setting Diddy up.
If Jay-Z is merely a witness and wasn't involved in the alleged sex acts, he could be called to testify. However, if he were involved, he could either face charges or be deliberately left off the witness list, as prosecutors usually avoid calling witnesses who participated in crimes but are receiving immunity. Rahmani also pointed out the long-standing relationship between Jay-Z and Diddy, which goes back to the early 90s and has remained strong over the years. However, their friendship seemed to be on shaky ground earlier this year when 50 Cent publicly criticized Jay-Z for staying silent after the police raided Diddy's house. 50 even took a shot by posting a picture of Jay-Z's face on a milk carton with the word missing, a classic 50 Cent move in Romani's view. Diddy's celebrity friends are unlikely to step up to defend him as his legal troubles unfold. The only support he may be able to rely on could come from his family and a small group of loyal friends. Things are looking bleak for Diddy.
All because of his mentors and the people that trained him and taught him the music business. You know, it's all about the people who trained and taught him the music business, because Puff wasn't, he wasn't born a monster. You know what I'm saying? He was made into a monster, brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? He was made into a monster from the stuff that happened to him, the things that he had to do. You understand? The things that he had to do to become who he is. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like this, brother. You never like something so much that you can't do without, and you never be willing to do anything to get where you want to be at. You gotta have principles, you gotta have morals, you gotta keep with that stuff. And in that music business, a lot of that stuff get thrown out the window. You understand? And that's what happened to him. He started doing the things to other people that was done to him. To keep it frank, he was doing the things to other people that was done to him. And it is what it is. You gotta know better. And if you know better, you will do better. When he was in New York City, he was like that gecko from the Geico commercial. Then he turned and started going, when he lived in Cali and Miami, he turned into Godzilla. I would see him talk about how he was never like that. Smoking cigarettes, smoking weed and everything like that. He turned into something that you could consider a monster, bro.
Gene Deal went on to talk about all the big celebrities he learned this predatory behavior from.
You gotta realize, man, he learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clyde Davis. You understand? When those people are telling you that they were heavy into they was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage, that's gonna make him think that he can get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. You understand? The things that he was saying, you know, the touchy-feely between two men and all that stuff like that, man. All that, he learned that from them dudes. When I told y'all the story, when me and my man went up to Russell Simmons and he had a house and he had a man in bikini drawers in his bedroom, in his bed. You understand? Bruh, this is that he learned. I'm assuming he learned it from them. Let me put that. And I'm not gonna say alleged because I saw that for my own self. My man was with me, Slick was with me, and we saw that for our own self. You understand what I'm saying? So these are behaviors and things that would, and all the stuff that's going on, pills, drinking, it can make this man into a monster, and that's what it did, bro. It made him into a monster, bro.
Prosecutor further explained that Diddy may have adopted this predatory behavior from the big celebrities around him, suggesting that he was influenced by the toxic culture of the industry and the powerful people he associated with.
Diddy Combs has been denied bail in connection with the sexual abuse and sex trafficking charges he faces. And as Les Trent reports, the music mogul who once traveled by private jet to all those mansions is now in a jail that is notorious for its bad living conditions.
Music mogul Sean Diddy Combs spent his first night behind bars inside a facility that is being called Hell on Earth.
Prosecutors are accusing Diddy of organizing wild, drug-fueled sexual marathons referred to as freak-offs involving female victims and male sex workers. These events allegedly lasted for days at a time. Diddy, who has pleaded not guilty, attempted to strengthen his defense by proposing strict conditions for his bail. He offered to limit female visitors to his Miami Beach mansion and suggested a $50 million bail deal, using his Miami home as collateral. His legal team also proposed electronic monitoring and restricting visitors to only family, caretakers, and friends not connected to the federal case. However, their efforts were unsuccessful.
In late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs' crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and prevent. In late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs' crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee.
Reports suggest that Diddy's legal team was willing to provide a nightly log of all his visitors to the government and agreed to undergo weekly drug testing. These measures were meant to address the court's concerns about him potentially intimidating or contacting witnesses. However, prosecutors remained unconvinced. They pointed to Diddy's history of intimidating accusers and witnesses, which led them to be cautious about approving his release.
Because they don't want to get no kind of put in their system. But what they don't understand is in the orange juice and it's in the cranberry juice. They done put the pills and the stuff in there, the roofies, the ecstasy, the ease, all whatever they put it in the juice. Now, those girls who like the mixed drinks, you understand what I'm saying? They gonna pour their own sexual act because they don't understand it ain't in the bottles, it's in the juice. Those guys, they learn that and they put it to those girls who don't know no better.
Prosecutors even presented security footage showing Diddy striking his then-girlfriend, singer Cassie, in a hotel hallway. The indictment paints a troubling picture of Diddy allegedly using his power and status to lure women under the guise of romantic relationships, only to pressure them into participating in these freak-offs. These events were reportedly elaborate and meticulously planned, with Diddy directing and recording them while observing from the sidelines. Some of these wild sessions lasted for days, leaving participants so physically drained that they required 4 fluids to recover.
Was he doing this back then, these freak-off sessions, when you were security? Because I'm looking at this lawsuit, and that's what they would call it, freak-off sessions, when, you know, Cassie, she'll have sex with the male prostitute while he'll masturbate.
Bruh.
Was he doing this back then, these freak-off sessions, when you were security? Because I'm looking at this lawsuit, and that's what they would call it, freak-off sessions, when, you know, Cassie, she'll have sex with the male prostitute while he'll masturbate.
Bruh, I can't say, because I can't say that. When I used to see him swing, it was always with him, another dude, and 2 girls. You know what I'm saying? When he was swinging with other people, you know what I'm saying? He always had other girls in the room or another guy in the room, even with his girl Kim, and he was swinging with her. So that freak off things, but him videotaping and everything like that, no, I can't say that I was privy to that. But you knew what was going on, you know, and just in the instant when people got it confused when I said, when he was in the room with Sarah and her girlfriend, and he had Ja Rule and him in the room. Yo, I didn't know they was doing anything freaky until Ja came out and said, yo, y'all didn't want to be in there because there's a lot of freaky things going on. So I guess that was one of those freak-off sections. A lot of people didn't even think that you know, Cassie was telling lies, Gene been telling lies, Lil Rob been telling lies, everybody lying on Diddy. But Diddy told the truth. Diddy's the only one told the truth. He said, y'all just keep watching. The truth will soon come out. And you see what came out? My man, he punching that little girl in the head. Yo, you don't even kick a dog, man. You don't even kick a dog, bro. You kicking that little girl like she's a dog, man. It was crazy, man. Any man that has a sister, any man that has a friend that's a girl, any man that has a child, you understand, who saw that, if they wasn't appalled, if they wasn't like, yo, I wanna beat the, you know what I'm saying? We can't say that on television, man, or on the internet or YouTube, but any man who saw that, wish they could put their hands on Diddy at that time, bro. That shit was appalling, bro. It was crazy, man. And when I saw it, you know, I could imagine what Kim went through. I could imagine what Misa went through. You understand? It was just crazy, man, for that dude to do that to that girl like that, man.
I can't believe what I seen, man. I still can't believe what I seen in that video, man. Like, the way he was kicking her was like he was kicking a field goal, man.
Bruh, when I saw him run down first of all, when I saw the white towel, I got flashbacks of him and Ja Rule running out the room. He beat that woman till she was crawling up under a car, man. No matter how small she was crawling up under the car, man. You got to be real scared, man. That's crazy.